Hey guys, real quick, just had to let you guys know that I am planning for my biggest weekend of 2023 for the UFC Vegas 76 card. You guys heard that right. I got 20 units out for this card. I got an 8-unit max play. All right, I'm looking to really handle some serious business. You guys know that I have a little bit of a vendetta with the year 2023. We've had some questionable decisions. We've had a couple things go our way, not go our way, whatever it is. But I'm telling you guys right now, I'm hammering UFC Vegas 76. So if you're looking to roll with me, you guys know how to get in touch with me. I got my email and my social media scrolling below. Shoot me a message. Let's make some big money this upcoming weekend. What is up, you guys? Teller hopping on the mic to talk some Ultimate Fighter talk here. We're going to be briefly recapping episode 4, but specifically we will be talking about episode 5. We had 2 very competitive fights taking place on both episodes, although we didn't get to see that third round. You guys are probably getting tired of hearing McGregor yelling about that third round. I mean, he knows the format of the show. He's got to get his fighters to win a round if he wants to push towards the third round there. But, you know, in both of these fights, over the last 2 episodes, I think that we are watching some high caliber fighters perform. Specifically the fighters that prevailed in both of those fights. But again, now in episode 4, it was cool. We saw Stephen Thompson show face on the show and whatnot. You know, the fight was Trevor Wells versus Timur Valiev. This was a fight that we were waiting to see happen. Remember, it got pushed back. I thought that Trevor Wells showcased that he's a legit fighter. Obviously, the fight didn't go his way. He's a fighter that is essentially now 8-4, which is not really the best record, but the fact that he dug deep in that fight and he had some moments against Timur Valiev, I think that it showcases that he's a legitimate fighter with some potential. He's 27 years old as well. So even though we have some fighters on the Young Bucks side of things that are actually not that young, he's not really one of them. He's 27 and he does have time to grow. I think that was a great learning experience for him. But remember now, I said that I had Timur Valiev taking the bantamweight bracket here on the show. I picked Valiev going into the show. Now, obviously, being able to watch all these fighters perform and watch them fight episode to episode, I mean, I can maybe see things going a different way. I'm not saying that I'm at that point right now, but you know, Valiev, he fought a toughly contested fight. He got the job done there, won both those rounds. So you know, hats off to him. We won't dive too much into the bantamweight bracket right now because we're going to recap episode 5. Another bantamweight fight takes place, and then we'll kind of shake down the whole bracket after that. Who's left and who's pushing towards winning the bantamweight bracket. All right. So on yesterday's episode, we had Brad Katona taking on Carlos Vera. First and foremost, I just want to say, I'm not really a fan of Brad Katona. You know, watching The Ultimate Fighter, I've always had a fighter that I liked least on the show. There was always a fighter that I couldn't wait to see get his face smashed in, and that's definitely Brad Katona. So, you know, as they're going into the fight, as we see the show progress, I'm getting to know Carlos Vera as well. I'm really liking his energy. I'm really liking everything that he stands for. Seems to be a very legit dude, a very calm and composed guy, going through kind of an awkward situation too, being coached by Brad Katona's real coaches. You know, it was kind of strange how all that was taking place there. But you see Brad Katona, they were kind of talking about how he is a diva, how he's not really joining the team over there, you know, with Team Chandler. You see Chandler sizing him up a little bit, right? You got to love how Chandler was kind of bouncing some ideas with Katona, and Katona was giving him some pushback, and Chandler's just kind of staring right through him. As obviously Katona must know that Chandler would eat him for breakfast there. So I like to see that fiery side of Chandler. I mean, he's always fiery, but he's always kind of has that good guy personality. You know, he's a good guy, and I kind of like to see him with that no nonsense mentality there, because you kind of really feel the energy that comes off of him, the tenacity and whatnot. So a little bit of that was going on, but I do want to say I was definitely rooting to see Brad Katona get finished here. Carlos Vera, the traditional martial artist, you know, training since a very young age, and all these different martial art disciplines that aren't necessarily the best backgrounds in the sport of MMA, right? We've seen a lot of these types of fighters throughout the years, right? They've been training from a very early age, but if they really didn't transition into the wrestling aspect of things, or the real modern day mixed martial arts type of training from an early age. It's different. It's different when you're doing capoeira and taekwondo and all these different things. It's good. It's a good background to have, I guess, but it's not the same. And we saw that in the fight. Brad Katona, it really was just the more physically imposing fighter. He had better wrestling. I think that's really what it all came down to: better cardio and better wrestling. We saw Vera do some reversals and whatnot, have his moments. But again, we don't get to see this fight go to the third round because Brad Katona does win the first 2 rounds, and it was what it was. But we'll talk about how this bantamweight bracket is shaking up right now. So I want to say this. I've been talking about how these fights are going to be moving forward, but we really don't actually know. I don't think we actually know, because I think what's going to happen as we push towards the end of these brackets, they might give the coaches opportunities to have some feedback on who they match each other up with. Team Chandler's winning every fight. I mean, it's probably going to be all veterans throughout the entire pushing towards the top of this bracket, I'll say. So right now we got Cody Gibson, Timur Valiev, and Brad Katona. We have Hunter Azure and Rico Di Sciolo facing off as well in the bantamweight division. If Rico can't get the job done there, we got another veteran pushing towards the top. So you're talking about Hunter Azure, Brad Katona, Cody Gibson, Timur Valiev. I would love to see Valiev and Katona facing off in the finale, and I would like to see Valiev maybe just kind of break Katona at what he does best, kind of break him, beat him at his own game, just pushing the pace with the grappling and whatnot. But we'll see. Katona looked pretty good, and maybe Katona actually pulls it off. I'm almost kind of eyeing Katona maybe potentially to take this, even though I want to see him lose. I want to see him get starched. Not a lot of big time strikers out here to pull that off. Maybe Hunter Azure wins that fight against Rico, and then we see Hunter Azure maybe land a big power shot. We've seen him land some big shots in the octagon before. He has a big knockout under his belt. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now in the bantamweight bracket. So we still got a couple lightweight fights to take place. Some fights we're excited for there, and that will lead us to the upcoming episode, which will be between Lee Hammond and Kurt Holobaugh. Kurt Holobaugh being the OG, the veteran there, and Lee Hammond being the young buck coming from SBG, Conor McGregor's boy. You guys saw it. Things are going to be heating up. We already saw kind of the preview of the episode. I mean, no spoiler alert. If you guys don't want to hear this, then maybe cut your ear out. But from what I saw on the preview, it leads me to believe that we're seeing another OG and Kurt Holobaugh pull the fight off here, because McGregor did not look happy, and you know that whole little skirmish was at the end of the fight. So I think that McGregor is upset that his boy lost. I think things are heating up, and you see McGregor kind of gritting his teeth back and yelling to Chandler, "You little Bellator tick," and all that type of nonsense was going on. So excited for that fight. But I am going to wind this episode down by saying this, and I didn't hop on the mic after last week's episode, and I'll tell you guys why. It was a little bit of a protest, but I will be hopping on the mic after every episode moving forward. But you know what? I was disappointed with the show right now, man, with the whole thing that's going on with McGregor. He still hasn't officially entered the USADA testing pool and all that, and it's just, Chandler doesn't even know if this fight's going to happen. I feel like nobody really knows if this fight's going to happen, and it's putting a stain on the show. There's a reason why this show is not really as exciting as the past Ultimate Fighter shows, if you ask me. I don't think it has anything to do with the fighters on the show, the performances that we're seeing. The fights are awesome. I love the format here, even though it's a little bit lopsided. I think that it still kind of makes to be an exciting type of format. The thing that it's missing in this show is that competitiveness between the coaches, the real disdain for each other, just feeling that they're fully in it. And you guys know I'm a diehard Conor McGregor fan, man, but it's very obvious that he's not in it. And it was awesome as he's walking out Carlos Vera, and he's in his ear coming through the tunnel or coming out to the cage, and he's saying, I want you to take his cap off, to take him clean out. And he's all hyped up, and he's doing the dance and the song and all that. It's awesome when you see the little flashes of it, but you could tell that it's just it's just there for a second. It's not there for long at all. You could just feel the energy that McGregor's there, and then he's out. He's bouncing. He's in and he's out. All right. So I mean, he has distractions. There's all this stuff that's going on now. I won't go too much in detail on that. Maybe I'll do another video on that another time. But obviously, he was slacking doing what he's doing. Even if you're doing that type of stuff, to do it in that type of spotlight, I mean, you need to get like a one of those clauses, whatever, that the girls need to sign where they can't legally say anything. You got to be smart about what you're doing there. When you're a celebrity, you can't be giving these girls any opportunities just to try to make to reach for a money grab, because that's obviously what it could be. Maybe it wasn't, but realistically, it's probably what it was. I mean, do you blame these girls? You got this drunk celebrity millionaire, you know, hooking up with you or whatnot, and all you got to do is just say a little bit of nonsense, and you're gonna get paid one way or another, whether it's whatever kind of settlement it's gonna be. She's probably gonna make money off this thing, and I don't know. I won't go on too much about that, but McGregor slipping, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I really need to see McGregor step into the octagon and just knock out a legitimate opponent before I could start to take him serious right now. And I'm a diehard McGregor fan. It's just, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, you have to be delusional really to take him fully serious. He's got to prove something to us, man. And I'm obviously hoping for that to be the case in the near future. So that will wrap up this episode of the Ultimate Fighter recap here. We will definitely be hopping on the mic right after the next episode, which should be a good one, man. We got that whole beef brewing at the end of the show, and I'm kind of excited to see how Lee Hammond performs. Close your ears if you don't want to hear it. Another spoiler alert. Now, there's some things we could read into, things obviously little things I see, right? Being in the MMA world, having some connections, this and that. Not that I know for sure. Kurt Hollaba, I don't know, man. Kurt Hollaba, I think that's a name to keep an eye on. I think he might have did good on this show, so probably gets the win next weekend. All right, guys, we'll sign out on that note. Signing out, Teller.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.